Have you ever heard a woman speaking and thought, she has such a presence, she commands attention without raising her voice, like a queen? In this video we will be talking about how to communicate and speak like a queen. You can apply those tips to different situations of your life, and we'll also use many examples from modern queens and how their communication style is and what is so special about how they speak. We will start with tip number one, or part number one, which is about eloquence. But what is eloquence actually? Simply put, eloquence is the art of expressing yourself clearly in a way that captivates and influences the ones around you. And eloquence also isn't just about sounding smart. It is about choosing your words with care, crafting sentences with clarity, and also delivering them with confidence. Let's look at a royal example for eloquence. Let's take as an example one of my favorite queens, or even my favorite nowadays queen, Rania of Jordan. I have already made a video about her style and her body language. If you haven't seen it yet, I will link it down below. But we have not yet looked at how she speaks and how she communicates, which is a perfect example for eloquence. Because her speeches are always filled with clarity and conviction. Whether she's discussing education, women's rights, or humanitarian topics, her words are always precise and inspiring. She speaks with a voice that doesn't need to raise its volume to be respected. And this is something very important about speaking like a queen. Let's now look at a clip of Queen Rania speaking with eloquence.
Imagine this. There are over 77 million girls who should be in school but aren't. Instead, they're in homes or in fields, in factories or on streets, working to support their families.
As a mother, as a proud advocate for UNICEF, and as a member of the global community, it makes me angry that education in emergencies is such a low priority and so terribly underfunded.
We come to part number two, speak with purpose and intention. Another key to speaking like a queen is to speak with purpose. That means that when you speak, your words should reflect your intentions. And it's easier said than done. Every sentence should carry meaning. Because when you speak with intention, you avoid just meaningless chatter or filling empty spaces with meaningless words, which happens often in conversations. Instead, you offer something of substance. And I will give you a practical example that you can also use. So, for example, instead of saying, I think we could maybe try doing it this way, which sounds uncertain, try saying, I believe this approach will bring the best results because of XYZ. By asserting your point clearly and also with confidence, you establish your authority in conversations. And of course, this is not necessary in all conversations, but in many situations it is very useful. And the nice thing about this royal way of speaking or queenly speech is that you can establish this kind of community without having to step into being bossy or being overly masculine, etc. You simply establish this by pure, regal and royal style. And a good example of modern queens is Queen Máxima of the Netherlands. She is another brilliant speaker who is known for her powerful presence. When she speaks, it is clear that she has done her homework, because she always supports what she says with the data, facts, and a vision for change. So of course, it is not only about the words, but it is also about your presence. But we are discussing presence, body language, etc. in other videos. So if you are not yet subscribed to my channel, I would be super happy if you click the notification bell and the subscribe button now. Notification bell is very important because only then you will be actually notified when I upload a new video, so do that. And we will continue with a clip, an example of Queen Máxima speaking with intention.
Financial health in both, in the US and around the world are actually not okay. In the European Union, 1/3 of the consumers have no savings. Half of them do not think they actually might make it to retirement.
And now we will continue with part number 3. Control your tone and tempo. Another hallmark of queenly speech is having control over the tempo and tone of your voice. Of course, the voice is also important. It's not only the words, but also the way how you deliver them. So the way you speak is just as impactful as what you say. A queen usually doesn't rush her words. She speaks deliberately, with a calm and measured tone. Here is my tip for you for your daily life. Take a moment sometimes before you speak. A pause can be very powerful. It gives your words weight and it shows that you are considering what you are saying. For example, in a tense conversation, instead of quickly reacting with an emotional outburst, take a pause. Take a deeper breath first and then pause, and then speak with a more composed voice. For example, I hear your concern and I think we can find a solution that works for both of us, or that works for everyone. Notice how this speaks to your emotional control and how it instantly commands respect. Because again, you want to command respect when you speak like a queen. A modern example is Queen Elizabeth II. Although she's not reigning anymore, we all remember her. Whether delivering an annual speech or speaking to the public, she has never rushed her words. Her tone always remained steady and reassuring, which of course always fostered trust in her leadership.
Someone whose face may be familiar in newspapers and films, but who never really touches your personal lives. But now, at least for a few minutes, I welcome you to the peace of my own home.
Now we come to part number 4. Use strategic silence. So now I want to go a little bit deeper into this topic of those pauses, because the thing is that, and especially in a royal or queenly communication, silence is just as important as speaking in a conversation. Queenly speech isn't about filling the empty space with words. It is about using strategic silence to give your words more impact. A great example where you can use that is, for example, in a meeting or in an argument also. Instead of immediately rushing to defend yourself or to provide an answer, pause. This gives people time to first think about what you've said and often brings them to reconsider their stance, or it gives you more space to make your point. Try this when someone challenges you next time. Pause, look them in the eye and say confidently, "Let me think about that." The power of silence comes from calmness and control. Those are traits that a queen exudes effortlessly. As a modern example, let us look at Mary of Denmark. In interviews and in public speeches, she's known to use pauses effectively. It is as if she's giving her audience time to absorb her words and also feel the gravity of what she's saying.
And it made me so happy to hear that LGBTI+ pride organizations from across the world were coming together to create a virtual global pride in response to the current restrictions that prohibit all the planned physical celebrations and gatherings. As patron of Copenhagen 2021, I wanted to take this opportunity to show my support.
Number 5. Use strong and clear language. Now let's talk about the language. A queen doesn't use weak language. She uses clear, decisive and impactful words. Instead of saying, I'm not sure, maybe we could use strong and declarative sentences. This is what needs to be done, and I'm confident that this will work. Strong language conveys authority. It shows that you know what you're talking about and that you believe in your words. But don't confuse strong language with masculine or bossy language. This is not what I mean. And queens usually don't appear masculine or bossy. Because this is the thing, you can use strong language in a very classy way combined with those other tips, and you will convey authority without having or without losing your femininity and elegance. That's the beautiful thing about queenly communication. And also remember to avoid filler words such as like or you know, because these can make you sound less confident. A modern example is Queen Letizia of Spain. She is a great example of strong and clear communication. She uses assertive and precise language that shows her intelligence and self-assuredness, particularly when advocating for social issues or education.
This is a triple perspective that places people at the very center of everything, that permeates the ecosystem we are part formed by the health systems of each country, research spaces, administrations and governments, civil society, the business community, and large companies, universities and schools.
Number 6, the art of storytelling. One final skill that truly sets apart queens and impactful women is the ability to tell stories. Storytelling is a timeless skill and it connects with people on an emotional level. It also makes your message unforgettable. So when you share personal anecdotes or well-timed stories, you can create a bond with your audience or with the person you are speaking with. Because people always connect more to stories than with facts or statistics. I mean, both is important depending on the cause, but the storytelling is much more powerful. They will remember a message because it resonated with them on a personal level. I myself am also sometimes using storytelling in my videos. If you have noticed, not that often, but for example, there is one particular video, or actually two particular videos in which I am clearly using storytelling. The one of it is how to be the most interesting woman in the room. That's, by the way, a very recommendable video where I am telling the story about a friend of mine, a woman who is using a very specific signature accessory, and by that always is or becomes the most interesting woman in the room wherever she is. If you want to see that or haven't seen it yet, watch it. I will link it down below. And another video where I am using storytelling is my video about how to be polite, how to act like a polite lady and what politeness is. There I'm also giving an example, the story of the famous French singer Edith Piaf and how she made a little embarrassing etiquette mistake, but how the host reacted in a very, very polite and classy way. If you don't remember this video or haven't seen it yet, please watch it. It's also interesting and connects to this topic of queenly communication, so I will link it down below for you to watch later. But in any case, storytelling is a very important tool that you should also make use of in your communication. And one modern example is Princess Charlene of Monaco, because she has also often used storytelling to connect with her audience, particularly in her advocacy for children and children's sports. Her ability to personalize her message and weave in some real-life stories makes her more relatable and impactful.
We started the foundation to try and educate children through sport. But there were a series of events that happened during the years after I got married, and a few friends of mine had lost their children and grandchildren, relatives to drowning. And I thought, you know, this is a problem, and this became my focus.
Number 7. Speaking like a queen in everyday life. To speak like a queen is not about perfection, it is about presence. You can use all those previous examples in your daily life, depending on the situation, and always remember that speaking like a queen is about knowing that your words matter and always use them to convey confidence, clarity, and connection. In everyday life, whether it's a business meeting or a family reunion, a casual conversation, you have the power to speak with grace and make your voice heard in the most elegant way possible. So start today by practicing those tips and see how your communication will transform. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, of course, or share it. I am looking forward to see you in my next video. Thank you for watching and bye bye.